is Delta, and we are here to show off a new global framework for the automation of the IT industry. Mastercard has always been an innovator in the global payment space, and in order to follow their goal of a world beyond cash, we need a new framework to evaluate IT automation criteria. Every day, everywhere, consumers use Mastercard throughout the world to make smarter, simpler, and safer payments.
So there are many challenges facing Mastercard and other companies, large companies like that as well. So the problem that we looked at, or the challenge, is with the rapid changes of the technology ecosystem. It has become increasingly difficult to have intangible, non-monetary benefits, like to justify those intangible benefits, I apologize. This is largely due to the financial frameworks that are outdated. The purpose of this, of our goal today, is to show you a new framework that will address the non-monetary benefits of conducting an IT automation project. We also addressed some subsidiary issues. So we noticed that it would be difficult to present to a board the tangible or intangible benefits of a information technology project, for an a project like this. So when you're going to the board, you want to show them numbers, but we're not able to with IT projects. We have to show them the intangible benefits it brings to the company. And when we're not able to do those things, it leads to suppressed innovation, and then that will also lead to strategic disadvantages in the industry. So it is crucial to get some of these IT automation projects approved so we can move forward in the industry.
So why is IT automation important? Well, first of all, we have to look at what is IT automation. It's the idea of implementing technology to create business, or to alleviate the process pain that currently exists in business processes by implementing either an out-of-the-box solution, something that's developed by a team, or using intelligent AI. What this does is it creates increased quality of life, not only for employers, consumers, but everyone across the board. There's going to be less human error when it comes to alleviating this process pain with this new IT-driven business processes, which is going to create increased efficiency for each of those systems. And lastly, one of the most important reasons why IT projects need to continue to be approved and driven regardless of monetary value is the fact that innovation cannot spread itself. Innovation is something that is a risk that everyone takes whenever they decide to take on something new. And just like previous generations have done, future generations also need to continue to drive that innovation, not only to benefit themselves or their firm, but to benefit the community and the environment as a whole. So in our recommendation, we present two solutions. Number one is utilizing the existing framework that currently is used in business. And the second is our custom framework that we have developed that is drawn from existing frameworks. So the first solution we looked at was a VRIO analysis. A VRIO analysis, essentially, you take a resource or a specific product and you run it through 4 criteria. Is it valuable? Is it rare? Is it inimitable? And does that organization have the structure that currently exists to support that resource or product? One of the things that's important to note with how this affects IT automation is the fact that each of those different resources or different modules or components of the project would have to be ran through this separately. Perfect. So the benefits of this is the fact that those resources or products, the components will be clearly defined, and it will take little or no time to run them through the analysis. But one of the biggest drawbacks is larger products that constantly evolve and constantly have changing components. It's going to be more difficult to track the individual value of each of those with this analysis. And it's going to be more difficult to calculate the unknowns of the project. So that's where you look at Vrio aimed more towards smaller component-based projects or products specifically, whereas an IT custom framework would be better suited to identify the non-monetary value that is given throughout a new project.
Thanks, Guy. So our solution, our second solution and our recommendation to you today is a new framework for IT automation. When we were conducting analysis of some common frameworks that are used for both internal and external analysis, we found a few key things that we liked across several different frameworks and wanted to pull some of those things we liked out into a new framework. So for Pestle, we liked how we started on the inside for an internal system or procedure or product and looked at how it affected the environment around it. For Vrio, like Guy had already mentioned, some of the benefits of using Vrio: it's simple, it's easy, we get answers quickly, and it works with relatively high level of vagueness. Value chain, we liked how you can track the value of a system through a company and where it is affecting and where it is bringing value to that company through their supply chain. And finally, and perhaps the most important, we looked at similar industries that are facing similar issues. So for example, the research and development industry has been dealing with the idea or the problem of how to sell an idea or a project that may not make money in the long run. So banking on things like intangible benefits or possible future benefits and weighing those against risks. And from Porter's 5 forces, we borrow our naming scheme. So let me be the first to introduce you to Delta's 4 forces. So if you can imagine out here in the void on the left, we have our project. And from that project, we can pull benefits and risks. And when we have those benefits and risks, we can force them through several filters to see what they look like on the other side. So for observable, our first filter, if you will, we can look at what the benefit looks like, or what we are seeing the benefit look like after the project has been put into implementation, after it is successful. Is it going to be something observed, a human, for example, human behavior, or is it going to be something more physical like data? When we force it through delivery, we want to know when is it going to impact our business. So is this benefit going to come into play immediately, or is it going to come into play further downstream, later in either the project life cycle or after the project has been implementation, one of the ongoing benefits? When we force our benefits and risks through scope, we can see where that benefit or where that risk is going to impact our business, our organization, or just the system. Is it going to be a single person being affected, a single system, or could that benefit spread across the entire organization or your entire consumer base? When we force it through measurable, we're asking, how are we going to measure those benefits and risks that are observable? So is it going to show up as qualitative data, or is it going to show up as quantitative data? And we can rank each of these attributes, so qualitative, quantitative, local, global, immediate, downstream, human, and data, by a scale that Guy is going to talk to you more about now.
Thank you, Sean. So in practice, essentially each of those different attributes for each of the 4 forces, they're going to be graded on a spectrum. We would like to assume in our practice that 1 is going to be the least appealing to investors, 5 being the most appealing to investors. So for example, that human behavior is something that you'd have to either be there in person or get told by someone else. That's not going to be as appealing to investors because they can't remotely see that. I mean, there are ways to do that, but the data is what the investors want to see. They want to see data on the screen or on a piece of paper. For the local versus global, any project that investors are spending money on, they want it to have the widest effect possible, not just for a specific purpose. So it's important to note that these spectrum scaling criteria that we are defining is relative. It's completely based upon the company's needs and how they want to define as a group exactly how they want to create this scaling system. In addition to allowing stakeholders to vote and partake in the process to take an average of what they believe is the best score for each of the benefits or risks that are ran through this framework. So essentially, initially, benchmarks will have to be created in order for there to be a reference to apply the framework against. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Teresa?
So here is a hypothetical scenario that we were going to use in our analysis to apply the deltas for courses. We're going to start with the automated fraud blocking. This is to create self-service capabilities to let customers manage their own fraud rules around their credit card, kind of like geofencing.
So we're going to look at the first force that we have in our four forces model, the observable force. So the benefit that we're evaluating right now is the value created by this new fraud creation tool that will allow customers to automatically go into an online portal and create their fraud creation tool without utilization of manual entry by a second set of eyes or an individual. So the value created immediately is the fact that that employee that no longer has to do that manual entry will have more free time to take on other tasks. In addition, customers will be able to create these new rules, and that's going to be systematically tracked via logging systems and other insight tools that are implemented with this project, so that that can be data observable. So we have a human observable of the employee and their behavior that now is freed up due to this extra time, and we have a data observable of value created by the customers because now they have the freedom to go through the system more efficiently and effectively with less error. We decided to rate this as a 3 because we believe that it's a good balance between the human aspect that is kind of less appealing to the investors, but it's still there, versus the data aspect of having that instant value created by or given to the customers that is tracked via data.
Yeah, so like I had just mentioned, when we're looking at the delivery of value creation in this project, we know that customers are going to gain instant value as soon as the system is implemented. However, it may take some time for organizations to figure out how to use the extra time given or granted to employees by this fraud creation tool to figure out how to make the most of their new free time. So we went ahead and ranked it a 4 on a scale of downstream benefits being 1 and immediate benefits being 5.
Thank you, Sean.
Yep.
All right, regarding the scope for this, we rate things from a scale of 1 of being more local to a scale of 5, which is global. With something like this fraud automation system that we were discussing, we would want it to affect everyone in Mastercard's vast market share. So in this case, because this would affect everyone, we would rate it a 5. However, if it was something that would only affect certain segments of Mastercard's market, we would rate it more toward a 1. Regarding measurable, give back to God.
So the measurable aspect of this is not, it's differentiated from the observable because the observable is kind of what you're observing. The measurable is how you are able to track that observable. So for example, let's say we have Bob who worked in the department for fraud creation initially. Now that Bob has that extra free time, we can say that that could be tracked via some sort of employee time entry tracking tool such as Harvest that is widely used in the technology industry. And that will allow that to be quantifiable data or quantitative data versus the manager or colleagues knowing that Bob now has that extra free time being qualitative. So because we know that it is possible to track that extra time that is given to employees, we're going to label that as a quantitative data in addition to the amount of new fraud creation rules or new fraud rules that are created by customers via logging tools and other insights. That is also going to be quantitative. So we rated this on a 5 in terms of the value that investors can see. Not only is it, there are human aspects to it, there are data aspects to it, but it can all be quantified quantitatively rather than qualitatively. I'll pass it off to Sean.
Yeah, so This is an overview of what that table looks like. So we've gotten rid of the description, and we've included the scores from each of those. And you'll remember that we ranked each of these, 1 being the least attractive to investors, 5 being the most attractive to investors. And we have a score of 15 that we can compare a total of, and then compare that across multiple system or projects thrown through this filter, this framework. And also another thing of note is that we can run risks through this as well, so that we can have a comparison in score between benefits and risks. I'll pass it off to Sean.
Thank you, Sean. Regarding the benefits and drawbacks of our Delta Four Forces model, this was designed for non-financial benefits of IT automation processes. Most of the other frameworks that we looked at focused primarily on the end return on investment, whereas our Delta Four Forces model does not. This allows for an early analysis of the project because it can be done with relatively little information. It's very customizable for future projects and can be tweaked and tuned at any time. It deals with unknowns well because there is very little that is needed to actually be put into it in terms of information that you need to know in advance. So therefore it can be implemented quickly as well because not all of the details need to be finite at this time. Regarding the drawbacks, it is highly abstract, which could also be seen as an advantage though, as it can be done early in the life cycle of the project, like I said. But it is dependent on knowing the benefits and drawbacks of the project before beginning this.
So, as far as the implementation timeline is concerned, we believe that this framework, while it is brand new, it can be implemented immediately. It's something that can be introduced to Mastercard right away. However, there are some obstacles that will present themselves with that implementation. One being the idea that there are no reference or there are no benchmarks to apply this framework against them right away, in addition to the fact that there would be an increased training time for all stakeholders or all parties involved in the framework process to become familiar with the system. So the best way that we find to mitigate that is to take either current, previous, or new ITA projects and either run them through as a tester or actually start running them through the system with our stakeholders or with some sort of test or sample group to find how effectively Mastercard can actually create these benchmarks and these reference so that they can utilize it for future projects to identify those, identify that scoring system that will be able to show the benefits and risks of that are not pertaining to just monetary value for a new innovative technology.
So to wrap things up, innovation at Mastercard is stifled by the changing investment frameworks or the finance frameworks in the sense that it does not evaluate IT projects in the intangible sense and a non-monetary sense. Then our goal today was to explore those, to explore the benefits and risks of the technology and automation for the intangible benefits, to go beyond the non-monetary, to show where the benefits can be, at least down long-term, down the road. Do we have any questions?
Nice job. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. You did a great job with the presentation, and you could tell that there was a lot of research that went in. Maybe one remark and then one question. You noted a moment ago that there may not be a lot of benchmarks for the purpose of comparing or using to evaluate this new model, and that may be a drawback, but I'm going to assume that there's always going to be no shortage of projects going forward that this could be applied to. So you may not have a benchmark or some historical data to go through. If you had many projects that were going forward at the same time, this would be an effective tool to compare one against the second, a third, and a fourth to say which one should we. So I wouldn't sell yourself short there. On slide 2, I'm sorry, the solution slide, talk about the pros and cons of the benefits and the drawbacks of each? No.
For the four forces model?
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be it.
That's going to be later then. Yeah, you got it?
This one, which,
No, for the four forces, it's.
Yeah, 4.
Here we go.
this one?
Can you share, you talked about some of the pros and cons of each of the different models that you looked at. It wasn't clear to me when you went through what the overarching benefit was of the four forces that really led to you making this recommendation. Was it more of a comparison or an aggregation of the different models before and you built this, or what was the differentiator here?
So I would say that, yes, while we were doing our research, we spent most of the time looking at existing frameworks and trying to extract the most valuable elements from those frameworks to show the intangible benefits. One of the biggest ones that I found was the General Accounting Office that the government uses for tracking its IT-related projects. And the government is a big investor in this field of innovation. And we think that there wasn't a whole lot of that in the private sector. So we drew upon that, as well as the existing frameworks that we mentioned in our throughout our analysis, such as PESTA and
Yeah, and we also looked at specifically large publicly funded projects and how they perform their performance evaluation frameworks, or how they structured them and then how they use those. And so that is a comparison of a lot of intangible benefits. For example, if the state is going to repave a highway, it can be hard to quantify in the short term at least the return on investment for that investment.
Mm-hmm.
We can say, well, by repaving the highway, we may stop however many accidents, or people getting flat tires, that sort of thing. But it's more difficult to track. So we were looking to draw inspiration from those types of performance evaluation frameworks, and then apply the concept of those to the financial investment scene.
Gotcha. That's a good example too.
Thank you.
So in this scenario, this is probably more of a situation of demonstrating with that slide that you were just on, demonstrating the benefit to the investors, right? Because obviously avoiding a fraud is not necessarily something that is revenue generating. How do you get priority around the situation or project of that initiative regardless of framework in the situation?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, the Mastercard has always been obviously like an innovator in the field, and obviously cares about its image. So by being able to say that they have the most advanced fraud avoidance system would be something that would potentially draw additional customers and long-term relationships.
Yeah, and we also had another example of a benefit that we did not go through during the presentation, but it was reputation. And so if we can identify the benefit of reputation being given by a project and identify where that is going to hit, so if it has a wide scope range and an immediate impact, thank you, Teresa. We can, if that gets rated highly to investors, then we know that there's a potential that MasterCard's reputation will increase and thus increase sales in the long term. But if we're going to analyze these benefits, we need to know what areas of the project or areas of the organization they're going to impact, which is why we run it through the different forces.
And for this example, a lot of these benefits are related. So for example, when we talked about Bob with the fraud rule creation, the manual fraud rule creation section, he's going to have that free time because now he's not having to do as much manual entry. That'll allow him to take on a role of possibly managing the entire system or segments of the system for different regions, which applies directly to the scalability without having to hire more employees. So as you innovate and as you're able to provide new solutions to more customers, your current employees will be able to take their existing knowledge and apply it to a larger subset of the new technology that's implemented to not only allow them to grow, but allow the company to grow as well.
Can I just follow into that question for Sean? When you were going through, you're talking about the value back to your customers. Do you have a sense or a feeling for how much of an influence that will make on a customer making their decision to go to Mastercard versus Visa, the fraud capabilities of the company, as opposed to how many airline miles do I get, how many dollars back do I get at the end of the month? I can see the fraud aspects that you're talking about being important to Mastercard because they're losing money, or the banks and so forth. But how big of an impact do you think that is from a reputational perspective on a customer side?
I think, if you want to go ahead.
You go first, and I'll...
So we actually talked through this specific scenario during our research, and one of the examples we brought up was not just the use of end consumers, but businesses. So businesses that are utilizing MasterCard for business purchases, ensuring, and not only businesses, but government organizations as well, such as the military, the post office, what have you, that they can designate, these are the designated areas that you're allowed to spend money. And we're going to create fraud creation rules to basically filter out all other areas so that employees and managers are able to track exactly where the money is being spent and not having to dig into reports, financial reports.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and also just to throw back, once we know that a benefit is going to have a wide scope or an immediate impact, we can also look at that specific benefit or even the specific project and see if it is giving us a competitive advantage in any field when compared to our competitors, which would also increase the value of MasterCard in comparison to its competitors.
And adding additionally to that, MasterCard obviously has a lot of banks and financial institutions that rely on MasterCard as it is the fastest electronic payment system to run their debit, credit cards, and whatnot. So by removing the risk, or at least mitigating some of the risk of fraud, these banks and other financial institutions may be more inclined to go towards MasterCard over Visa or some other card processing system.
Right. I remember, Sean, you mentioned that MasterCard is now partnering with Apple for their Apple Pay system.
The Apple Card, yeah.
Right. So they'll be able to implement those rules on their phone and also pay with their phone as well.
I think that identity theft, though, is on the top of mind of consumers. It's been happening with every company, and I believe that consumers are very aware of their identity being stolen. So I think they would look at fraud as a benefit to them to keep their identity safe.
I have one more, if I could. On the slide that, I think it was one that, this slide on your deck that had the example.
Yeah, so the end.
That was an example. Where did I see the,
End of the example. Yep.
it was the one right before benefits and drawbacks. Where did I see the financial elements of the projects being evaluated and scored here? So you did a great job of sharing some intangible or non-quantifiable aspects that need to be considered going forward,
Yeah.
which is absolutely spot on. There's always going to be the element of the financial pieces too. That goes there.
So-
Where do you see that?
That is a little bit outside of the scope of the framework. There are a lot of better and more proven frameworks that we can use to judge the ROI on a project
Yeah.
than dealing with something as abstract as this framework. So for Delta's Four Forces, we wanted to focus on bringing out the intangible benefits and risks of a project and kind of seeing how they stack up. So it would be outside of the scope of this. It could be something that we work on developing in the future and adding into it. We would have to probably go through some layers of abstraction, but to get it to match up with what we have here, but it's currently outside scope.
When we were doing the research on this,
Includes question and answer.
Nice job,
So,
guys.
started off the play earlier, the team before this team took the clicker. Apologize for the inconvenience, guys. But Team Delta, if you'll follow me to the exit.
You did a good job. Thank you.